Welcome to Home Beach on Minjerribah, North Stradbroke Island. We've got quite a beautiful day here, and this is the day after filming or visiting the beaches at Bradbury's 1 Mile and Main Beach. So we have similar conditions today, believe it or not, out on the exposed coast. So we still have about metre wave, 7 seconds. But out here we have maximum maybe half a metre wave when a set comes in, similar kind of period of 7 seconds. But you can see how much calmer it is over here because it's behind these headlands, which is taking out all of that wave energy. And so we have really nice conditions here where we can go and have a lovely swim. Okay, one of the first things you might note out here as well is you see where these waves are breaking all along this shallow bar. And then you've got this nice trough in here, which is actually pretty deep, so people can go swimming in here. There's even a guy fishing over there actually, which is surprising. Okay, so that bar is there because it's driven by this longshore transport of sediment coming from these headlands. These waves are quite oblique here. They push around the headland and come towards us and push sediment towards us. And so you create these spit-like structures coming off these headlands. And what happens over time is this actual kind of almost lagoon-like feature was a lot deeper. The dive center, which is just behind us here, and their boat is just over there actually. So that dive center would deploy their boats in here because it's deep enough, and they've got this nice channel to actually go out and exit out here. But it's slowly been getting shallower because this bar has actually been moving towards land over time. So what we would expect if we came back here in maybe a year or two, is maybe even less, is that bar would eventually make its way onto the shore and we'd end up with another spit of sand coming towards us at some point in the future. So that's a bit about the sediment dynamics of this system. So it's protected, it's driven by longshore transport of sediment from oblique breakers, was probably the dominant thing that you see. But what we also have, I'm just going to walk up the beach here, we have this beach face, so that's like your beach face, your most active zone of the beach face. This is where, if you're calculating gradients of the beach, one of the important ones to get in, because that's where your run-up occurs on the beach, these gradients that you see here. But as we get up onto the flatter section of the beach, which is a section which would only ever be kind of impacted when we get erosion on the beach, or if we get a really strong storm event, maybe it would run up to where everybody's doing their beach surveys at the moment. But what we might see is we have one dune system here. If we look down, it still keeps going along, but it's more like a small version of that incipient foredune, the small foredunes that we have, that we observed over at Main Beach. They're not very large. Immediately behind that, rather than your casuarina trees, what we have is melaleucas, paperbarks. They're swampy trees. They're trees that that survive in brackish water. And so we have quite a low-lying region immediately behind this beach. So rather than being this big parabolic dune system, what we have here is this barrier and then a low-lying region immediately behind, and we actually have buildings immediately behind here as well. So if you're thinking about exposure to something like a swell event, while it's not exposed to high wave energy, you don't actually have these geomorphic features that might provide protection from something like a cyclone. Storm waves because of a cyclone, lots of run-up, lots of overwash, because you don't have these big dune features behind this beach. Instead, you've got a kind of swampy environment. So while it's protected, it's interesting, it's also perhaps exposed to overwash. Who knows? We haven't really done too much work on that, but just reading what the beach looks like, that's what I'd be suggesting out here. So we'll leave it at that and leave student colleagues continually doing their beach surveys down to the water here. In reality, what we try and do is actually go through this quite deep channel. You'd actually have to start swimming in there over this bar and then out to the surf zone further, and we try and get down to something like chest deep. We can't really do that here, but if you're coming back and doing your surveys, you actually want to get this bar in. It's a really important feature, so you'd want to try and survey that in as well. But instead, we'll probably be stopping at this waterline here. Okay, and just to give you one final point, that rock there, that's Adder Rock. So on the other side of that headland is Flinders Beach. And so that is where the next video will be recorded. All right, I'll leave it there. One final shot of the beach.